That night's WHOW Serve Pro of Piatt DeWitt County, Clinton Maroon Player of the Game, whose play will be highlighted in each WHOW Maroon post-game broadcast, and that player receives a certificate. Find out the many services provided by Serve Pro of Piatt DeWitt Counties by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Hey, this is Todd Gleason from Illinois Extension here with a time change for our daily market report on WHOW. You can now catch our daily review of the commodity markets at 5:06 on all of WHOW's many platforms. You'll still hear all of our commodity analysts and weather professionals each afternoon, but at a brand new time. And you'll still hear the weekly wrap-up of the commodity markets right here on WHOW when Commodity Week airs Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Remember the time change for the daily closing market report on WHOW at our new time, 5:06 p.m. weekdays.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today is Jack Myers with Social Security. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
Good morning, Seth. I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for asking. Thanks for making time for us as always. And Jack, I know I had some local folks in a few weeks back to talk about this, but it's always good to get the Social Security side of this story because, of course, as we get older and we approach retirement age and those sorts of things, and even in our younger years, we're going to be paying into Social Security. So financial literacy and preparing ourselves financially for the future. Obviously, Social Security plays a part in that. So, Jack, let's talk Financial Literacy Month and just how this all connects to Social Security. What do you have for us today?
Absolutely, Seth. And, as you mentioned, April is Financial Literacy Month, or at least alluded to the fact that April is Financial Literacy Month. And, we obviously are a big part of that at Social Security. For most people, Social Security is going to be a vital part of your financial plans for the future. And so what better time than Financial Literacy Month to kind of dive into your own Social Security and take a look at our website at socialsecurity.gov, create your own personal account, your My Social Security account once you get to the socialsecurity.gov website, and see what your future benefits are going to be. You can look at your Social Security statement, which will give you estimates of your future retirement benefits, but it would also give you estimates of what your benefit would be if you were to become disabled, or what your survivors could qualify for potentially if you passed away. So it's a good financial planning tool there just to kind of give you a starting point for what your future benefits would be. And then if you want to take that a step further and kind of see what would happen if you worked to, we retired at different ages and projected different amounts of earnings up until your retirement years, you can do that as well within your My Social Security account. So really a great financial planning tool to try to get a feel for the Social Security portion of your future retirement benefits. But Seth, I think something that we also need to touch on is the fact that Social Security is not going to be enough. I mean, quite bluntly, it is not going to be enough in retirement. It wasn't really ever intended to be your only source of income in retirement. So you have to be thinking about other sources of retirement income as well, whether it's personal savings or if your employer has some kind of retirement plan. Something that a lot of employers have these days are 401ks. So if you have a 401k at your job, you might want to look into the fact that, or the issue of whether or not there's a match, because sometimes they will match your contributions. And if that is in place and you're not contributing anything, then you're losing out on that match that your employer would give you. So essentially what you're doing is you're telling your employer, no, thank you, I'd rather not have a raise. So, think about that and look into that, because if there's a match available to you and you're not taking advantage of that because you're not contributing yourself, then you're leaving money on the table that would really be helpful down the road when you get to those retirement years.
Yeah, such a good point on that one for sure, Jack. Those matching benefits, and not everybody has those. So really, for folks that are kind of in that position, should really feel fortunate that they've got an employer that does that.
Absolutely. And it's something, as you said, not everybody has it. So, it's just something to look into. But you really don't want to leave that on the table. If that's there for you, the only way you're going to get it is by contributing yourself. So definitely look into that.
Sure. Well, Jack, let's talk a little bit about, again, kind of bring Social Security into the fold in this conversation. And you can start, this process of outlining or kind of finding out, I guess, where your benefits from Social Security are at by creating a My Social Security account. It's been some time since you and I have touched on the My Social Security account. So tell us about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mentioned a couple things that you can do within there. You can look at that Social Security statement. You can look at our retirement calculator, which will give you estimates of the future benefits, and you can create those custom scenarios. Like, for example, if we're showing you on your Social Security statement what your benefit amount would be at 62, but you're thinking you might be able to pull off retirement at 61, for example, you're not going to be eligible for a retirement payment from Social Security until 62. But if you are stopping work at 61, you might want to see what that's going to do to that future retirement benefit. So you can use the retirement calculator and show us that you want to stop at 61 and see what, if any, difference that's going to make. So that's a really powerful tool to have access to. But then another thing that you want to do within the My Social Security account set, you want to take a look at your earnings record, because when we calculate your benefit and ultimately start paying you Social Security benefits, that's going to be based wholly on the earnings record that we have for you and the taxes that you've paid through your working years. So it behooves you to take a look at that and make sure that it's being reported properly. You want to just take a look at that earnings record, make sure you're seeing all your earnings. Now, if you look at it today and you don't see 2022 earnings on there yet, I wouldn't be terribly concerned yet at this point, because we're still working on getting all the 2022 wage reports updated and uploaded and that sort of thing. So right now, it's not that big a deal if you don't see 2022, but you should certainly see 2021 and prior. And then I would encourage you, if you don't see 2022 yet, because a lot of people will, but if you don't see it yet, then just check back later in the year and make sure that those 2022 wages got posted so that you're getting proper credit for the taxes that you're paying, and will ultimately one day get the correct benefit amount.
Jack, this is probably a greater conversation for another day, but if you don't mind, just touch on, if someone is checking into their earnings and they have a question, or they think something isn't accurate, how do they go about addressing that with Social Security?
That's a great question, Seth, and it's one of the most important reasons I think you need to check that Social Security statement and that earnings record on a regular basis. Because if you spot a problem, let's say, for example, you look at it today and for whatever reason your 2019 wages aren't there. If you still have your W-2, or if you were self-employed, if you've got your self-employment tax return and the proof that you paid the taxes, you just need to contact us at Social Security. Now, our office is in Springfield, for the listening area. So you could send us a letter with a copy of your W-2. You could stop by the office with that information. But basically, you just need to show us the W-2 from that year, and we can get it fixed. I mean, it's pretty easy if you've got the documentation. And that's why I say it's important to check it on a regular basis, because if you see that problem from 2019 and 2023, chances are pretty good you're going to have the W-2 that we need to get that fixed for you. But if you don't spot it until 20 years from now, when you're getting ready to retire, then you might not have that W-2 anymore. So then it becomes harder to correct that. So great question. It's pretty easy for us to fix. So you just need to get us that documentation, and that can be sent to us in the mail. That can be dropped off, however you want to get it to us, and we'll get that updated for you.
Very good. Very good. Well, Jack, let's get back to the topic at hand. And of course, obviously, we can check our earnings, benefits, and all of those things. What have we missed in this conversation? What do you want to get to this morning?
Well, I want to reiterate the website address again. It's ssa.gov. So that's where you want to go to start the process of creating that My Social Security account. Sometimes when I talk about the My Account and the website, sometimes that can get a little bit confusing for folks, but basically what you're going to do is you're going to go to our site, which is ssa.gov. That's the main web page that's got all kinds of information and things about Social Security. And then once you're there on our site, then you can either log in if you've already previously created it, or you can create your My Social Security account, and then that'll get you access to your personal information. So that's kind of like your own little part of the SSA.gov website, and that's called My Social Security once again.
Jack Myers with Social Security, our guest on the phone here this morning with us. Jack, let's talk a little bit about, as we speak about Social Security and those sorts of things, let's talk about payments and discuss how those dates of payments are determined. Do you mind outlining that with us here this morning?
No, not at all. That's something that we get a lot of questions on when people first start to collect Social Security benefits, because it's not necessarily something that you think a whole lot about before that time. But payments for most people are going to be basically determined by the birthday of what we call the Social Security number holder. So what that means is if you're getting retirement benefits off of your own record, you're the number holder or the wage earner. So it's based off of your birthday. But if you're getting spousal benefits or surviving spousal benefits or something like that, then your spouse that you're getting the benefits off of is the number holder or the wage earner. So it's going to be based off of their birthday. Okay, so now that we know whose birthday this is based on, we can talk about what that birthday means. So, it used to be that all Social Security payments came on the 3rd of the month. Everybody got their check on the 3rd of the month, and that was that. But many years ago, we switched to what we call payment cycling. So now some people still get it on the 3rd of the month, but most people are either going to get their payment on the 2nd Wednesday, the 3rd Wednesday, or the 4th Wednesday of the month. And the way that we determine which Wednesday you're going to get your payment is by the birthday of the number holder. So if the birthday is the 1st through the 10th, the payment date will be the 2nd Wednesday of the month. If it's the 11th through the 20th, the payment date will be the 3rd Wednesday of the month. And if it's the 21st through the 31st, the payment date will be the 4th Wednesday of the month. So what the important takeaway there is your payment's not going to necessarily be on the same date each month. So don't pay so much attention to the date it comes, but look at the Wednesdays, the 2nd Wednesday, 3rd Wednesday, or 4th Wednesday of the month, because that's when a lot of those payments are going to be sent out. And again, like I said, some people will still receive their payments on the 3rd day of the month. If you've been getting benefits since before May 1st of 1997, you'll still get them on the 3rd. If you also receive supplemental security income, you'll get your Social Security on the 3rd. And there are a couple other reasons. And then the other thing I want to add to that is SSI payments, the supplemental security income, those come on the 1st. So lots to kind of digest there, but really it's not terribly complicated once you understand that it's typically based on the Wednesdays, 2nd, 3rd, 4th Wednesday of the month is what you need to kind of lock in on. And the good thing about it, and one of the big reasons we go with Wednesdays, is they're obviously not a weekend, and there aren't a ton of holidays that fall on Wednesdays. So the fewest disruptions there with Wednesdays.
Very good, Jack. Well, again, where do folks go to learn about all of those payments, the times, and all of those things we've talked about here today? Where do folks go? How do they get more information?
Well, if you want to go to our website, ssa.gov, in our publication section, we actually have a payment calendar that you could print out. So go to ssa.gov, look for publications, and then look for our payment calendar, and you could have something you could print out and put on your fridge or wherever you want to do it if you feel you need a little help keeping track of that.
Jack Myers, Social Security, our guest on the phone here this morning. More to come with Jack on the WHOW Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. We start in the red with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. May corn, 645 and a quarter, down 7.5. July corn, 622, down 5.5. September corn starting today, 565 and 3/4, down 3.5. Tomorrow is a trading holiday. May beans 14.86, down 25 cents to start today. July beans down 20 and a quarter, 14.57.5. August beans 14.07 and 3/4, down 16.5. May Chicago wheat 678.5, down 3.5. July wheat down 3.25, 691.5. September wheat 704 and 3/4, down 3.5. May bean meal 446 even, down 460. May bean oil 54.13, down $1.09. Opening numbers on this Thursday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
If you think a new or used car is in your future, the time is now to call the Baum Chevrolet Buick sales team here in Clinton or Farmer City. This is Scott Baum. With a professional sales consultant in your corner, the vehicle search is easy. Meet with our sales team to go over your wants and needs. We'll start the search and do all the legwork for you. With so many models and options to choose from, we can help you get the information you need. BaumChevyBuick.com. Right from the start.
Allergy season is here, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine is here to help. No appointment, no problem. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
ServPro of Piatt DeWitt Counties is the leader in cleaning, restoration, and construction for fire and water restoration. Find out all the services they provide by clicking their icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the phone today, Jack Myers with Social Security. And Jack, let's continue our discussion about Social Security benefits and talking SSI benefits for kids and kids with disabilities. How about this conversation, Jack?
Yeah, so, as we talked a little bit, you touched on it in the terms of, when the payments come for SSI, but SSI is the program that's called Supplemental Security Income, and it's a program that provides payments to children with disabilities. I mean, it can pay for adults too, but focusing at the moment on the children, SSI can pay payments to children with disabilities whose families have limited income and resources. In order to qualify for these types of benefits, the child must meet the medical criteria, basically that says they have a severe medical condition that results in marked and severe functional limitations. So essentially, they've got to have something that very seriously limits their activities. And it's got to be something that's expected to last for at least a year. So it's a permanent type thing. It's not like a short-term type condition. But if you have a child who's dealing with a disability like that, you might want to consider the SSI program. And if you go to ssa.gov/SSI Kids, you can find some additional information about it. Now, I should point out, Seth, that because it's the SSI program, there is an income and asset limitation that's involved. And so what we'll do a lot of times is we'll have to look at the parent's income. So if the child's under the age of 18 and lives at home, a lot of times that parental income is going to count towards the child's eligibility. But there are things that we can do to make allowances. Like, for example, if there are other non-SSI eligible children in the household, we can basically excuse or exclude some of that parental income. And then another thing to remember is if you have a disabled child who doesn't qualify for SSI because of your income as a parent, when that child turns 18 and becomes an adult in the eyes of the law, we no longer have to count parental income. And it doesn't matter if they still live in your household. We don't have to count parental income once they turn 18. So if you've never been able to get SSI for your disabled child because of your income and they're approaching age 18, once they turn 18, you should contact us at Social Security to look into applying for SSI because your income would no longer count and make them ineligible.
Easy enough. So a lot of good information there, Jack. Again, when it comes to all of this, there's probably a lot of things to consider. And for folks in this situation, if they're new to the situation, particularly maybe somewhat overwhelming, where do they go for more information, Jack?
Yeah, so we've got, again, on the website, ssa.gov, we've got a bunch of different information on all of our programs. But then if you want to kind of drill down specifically to this topic, if you just go to ssa.gov/SSI Kids, you'll find a bunch of information, including how to kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak, on this process right there on that page. So again, that's ssa.gov/SSI Kids for more info on SSI payments for disabled children.
Sure. Very good. Jack Myers, Social Security, our guest on the phone here for today. Jack, we're zooming right through everything you've got for us today. Let's talk a little bit about, wrap things up with plain language and Social Security. How about this?
Yeah. So Seth, this is kind of a topic that I wanted to mention today because of our first couple topics. When we were talking about financial planning and financial literacy, I think what happens a lot of times is, like with anything, when we don't know a lot about it, it can be overwhelming. And admittedly, our policies and programs can sometimes be complex and somewhat difficult to explain. And I think people are aware of that, and some people might be just a little bit overwhelmed and not want to start the process of looking into it because they just are kind of concerned that they won't understand it or that sort of thing. But I wanted to point out that we're aware of this, and we take a lot of effort or make a lot of effort to try to use language that is plain and as easy as possible to understand. And to that effect, there's actually a requirement that we do that. So the federal government is required to try to communicate in plain language. And there's this basically a rating. There's a federal plain language report card that comes out each year. And so last year, this actual Center for Plain Language evaluated 21 executive branch agencies of the federal government. So basically a lot of federal agencies, and they gave a grade to each agency from A+ to F-. So, the standard school grading scale there. And they were looking at writing quality, organizational compliance with plain language. And I'm very happy to say that Social Security received an A+ for organizational compliance and an A for writing quality. And I mentioned that, of course, I'm proud of that, but I mentioned that only to hopefully let people know, hey, don't be intimidated by this stuff. Go to the ssa.gov website, take a look at what's there, because we really think that it's written in a way to make sense to you, to help you understand our programs. And that's the whole goal of all of it, is to help people understand our programs and the benefits that they have coming to them when the day to file for Social Security comes.
Very good. Jack, anything else on that we should know? Anything we missed today you want to put out there for us?
Well, just again, a reminder, can't say it enough. The website is ssa.gov. But if you need to call us, you can call us a couple ways. You can call us at 800-772-1213, or you can go to our locator at ssa.gov/locator and find your local office and call them directly as well.
Sure. Very good. Jack, about a minute left here with you. Do you mind giving us kind of an update on the status of Social Security offices right now? What do we need to know as it relates to perhaps stopping in or making an appointment? What should we know?
Yeah, great segue there, Seth. Happy to report that we're coming up on a year now of when our offices were able to open back up to the public, and maybe it's actually been a year. I don't remember exactly. It was April of 2022 that we opened back up for walk-in traffic, and we're still in that mode. So if you need to visit an office, you are welcome to walk in to your local Social Security office. You can go to that website, ssa.gov/locator, to find the office nearest you. You can also call us. You can do business on the website at ssa.gov. So lots of different ways you can reach out to us.
Sure.
And we just encourage you to do so if you need to.
Jack, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Jack Myers, Social Security, our guest. Network News is now.
The Big 1520 WHOW Clinton, 92.3 FM, W222 BG Clinton, 106.5 FM, W2